This is Love Notes, daily devotions from Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. Grace and peace to you. Well, the second dialogue, or cycle of dialogues, comes in chapter 15 of Job, and we begin that today. Job has had a rather lengthy response to his friends, who aren't really being very friendly. And now we return to Eliphaz. Eliphaz answers him. And the civility between them goes down a notch. Eliphaz is not taking the high road. Job continues to press his points, and Eliphaz becomes a little grumpy about the whole thing. You see, for his three friends, it's become not an opportunity for comfort, but it's become a theological argument. I don't know who ever thought that quoting doctrine to somebody was the way in which you would give them comfort and healing. I've probably been guilty of doing that, or at least getting close to it at some point in my career. We all tend to do it. We've got the answer, and then when somebody challenges our answer, we go into argument mode. Our compassion kind of goes out the window. Our empathy drains out the floor drain. That's what's happening with Eliphaz. He says, should the wise answer with windy knowledge? In other words, you're a big windbag, Job. And fill themselves with the east wind? It's an insult. Should they argue in unprofitable talk? His view is that Job is speaking nonsense, that his words and his experience are not worth anything. But you are doing away with the fear of God and hindering meditation before God. Is that really how you're experiencing Job? I don't know where Eliphaz gets this. You are doing away with the fear of God. It seems to me that Job has articulated the fear of the Lord more deeply than any of his friends have. They have quick answers as to why, well, if you're good, God won't do anything. So why be afraid of God? If you're good, God will give you good things. That's kind of an easy answer. If you're bad, then you'll have bad things. You should just suck it up. You should get over it. All of those kinds of things. That's not the fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is to cry out in our anguish and ask why. Job not once has disengaged from God, turned away from God. He keeps in there, boxing away, arguing his case, and hindering meditation before God. I don't know about you, but Job's been a much better teacher than any of his friends so far in this little study. Eliphaz continues, your iniquity teaches your mouth. You choose the tongue of the crafty. These words that you say to somebody who's sitting in the ashes after his whole family's been killed, he's lost all of his wealth, and his body has betrayed him. Yet we do it. Your own mouth condemns you, not I. Your own lips testify against you. Everybody knows you're a fool, Job. Well, we've lost sight completely of Job's suffering. Now there's a challenge. Are you the firstborn of the human race? Huh? Are you Adam? Were you brought forth before the hills? Did you exist before God did? Have you listened in on the counsel of God? Of course you haven't. None of us have. And yet Eliphaz seems to act like he's been in on the counsel of the God. He's got all the answers. Do you limit wisdom to yourself? In other words, you've got all the answers and we don't? Maybe there's the rub, huh? Eliphaz doesn't like Job's answers because they challenge his thinking. And especially in the world we live in today, nobody likes to have their thinking challenged. What do you know that we do not know? Well, I'd like to posit quite a bit. What do you understand that is not clear to us? Oh, I don't know. Everything? The gray-haired and the aged are on our side. And see, there's the thing. Eliphaz is more in love with the tradition and what he was taught as he grew up than he is with his neighbor Job, who suffers. His allegiance is not to loving his neighbor. His allegiance is to what he learned in confirmation class when he was 12 years old. His allegiance is to what he's been told and what he believes and how he's kind of cobbled his life together so it all makes sense. He can't stand anything to challenge that. He then says, are the consolations of God too small for you? This is his original argument that he's returning to you. Or the words that deal gently with you. Why does your heart carry you away? And why do your eyes flash? Why are you angry? So that you turn your spirit against God. Is that what Job is doing? I'm not convinced. And then toward the end of this section, he says, God puts no trust even in his holy ones, and the heavens are not clean in his sight. How much less one who is abominable and corrupt? That's your pastoral care. That's your compassionate word for your suffering friend, that he is abominable and corrupt, that he drinks iniquity like water. You see, Eliphaz is getting more and more locked into the notion that Job deserves everything that's happened to him. And he's working himself into a frenzy of being able to say that's his answer. That does two things. It gives him an easy answer to tell Job, and it keeps him, at least in his own mind, from suffering the same fate. Well, I'm not going to speak against God, so therefore my stuff will never be taken away, and my health will be perfect. Yeah, good luck with that. What the sages have told and their ancestors have not hidden. And then he rehearses this same old tired argument that the wicked writhe in pain all their days. But what about the righteous? They suffer too. Terrifying sounds are in their ears, the wicked. In prosperity, the destroyer will come upon them. But the destroyer came upon Job, and we know that God has said he's blameless. Eliphaz is not listening. Because they stretched out their hands against God in verse 25 and bid defiance to the Almighty, running stubbornly against him with a thickly bossed shield. This is why bad things happen to them. The question here is questioning God an attack on God? Or is it the kind of loving relationship that humans express all the time? Now, I know it's hard to imagine in our culture that we can disagree about something and not come to blows, because that seems to be the way things work. So we have to dig a little bit deeper here. Is God going to blot us out of existence if we continue to ask tough questions of God, if we wrestle with this relationship? Is questioning God rejecting God? And the answer is no. There are way too many pastors and churches out there who don't allow questions. And so faith is stunted, and it never grows. Eliphaz's point is that the evil have warred with God and they have lost. And so he's telling Job, stop your war with God. But is it really a war? Eliphaz's insensitivity grows as he gets more and more frustrated and as Job doesn't come around to his way of thinking. Has that ever happened to you? Or have you ever done it to somebody else? Those are the questions that we ponder. Amen.